Hello, you guys. My name is Silverio, or you can call me Silver, like the color. I will be talking with you guys about life and making some beads or necklaces as I do so. Okay, so welcome. I first want to start off by saying I just started my YouTube channel, so please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to reach 50 subscribers so I can start making longer videos. But for now, it wants me to make shorts, but I can't say what I need to say in a short video in time. Here goes some of the things I created. Here goes my tree. I just decorated it, put butterflies on it, beads, and the mask that we seem to still be wearing. So I'm going to be talking about things that will kind of take off the mask and talk about spirituality and my journey as far as getting into my spirituality. I'm very close to God. Oh yeah, you can't see it. Hold on. The one and only Creator. I don't think you can see that, but yes, I'm very close to Him. I'm very much a believer, and He is real. And being a child of God, yes, or the golden child, or His anointed. It does say in the Bible, do not touch my anointed and do no harm to my prophets. So I just kind of want to talk about a little bit about me, my background, where I come from, and what I am. Obviously, I'm Mexican, but I'm Mexican American. I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan. And in Flint, oh yes, it was very, very rough. We were #1 most violent city in the U.S. in 2010 and 11. So when I went to high school, it was always a survival just to make it through the day. And I wanted to talk about loving yourself, and because during a journey, this whole journey, sorry, I did not have, I had a lot of people who deceived me, lied to me, made me feel like I was in a loving relationship, but it was all part of my journey or lesson that I had to go through in this human experience. We all have to go through hardships and relationships, and so the way I learned on how to love myself, I'm 30 years old now, so I did come from a loving family. My mother did provide for 7 of us. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I lost my father at a young age, at 10 years old, through domestic violence, and I was one of those unfortunate kids who witnessed their father get murdered in front of them by my oldest brother, but he was my half brother. He was my same mother but different dad, so he killed my father, if that makes sense. I was only 10 years old, and I was very young. My dad, he started, getting on drugs, and he was a really good father. He really did whatever he could to take care of us. And I soon found out, as of last year, that he served in the military. He was a U.S. Navy SEALant, and he was a commander-in-chief. In the 1986, 1888 area, and he got honorable discharge. Honorable discharge. Meaning they kept him coming back. You know, my dad would always drink on the job, and he's out at sea. And I don't really know much about him. He passed away when I was 10, so I didn't really get to know my father like that. But all I know is that that man was a really hardworking man, and he had us on the roof trying to learn how to do roofing, and had us tied up on this big, thick tightrope, each of us kids, to help him with the shingles, doing our roof. And I was scared of heights. That was my number one fear, was heights. But this man was crazy, but he was really smart, but not crazy. He was a mechanic. Next thing you know, he's a plumber, then he's an electrician, then he's a rock and roller, then he's cooking and prepping and cooking. I'm like, what can this man not do? Well, he was just a all-around person who could do anything that he set his mind to, and he must knew a lot of stuff in the Navy that most people could not or didn't have access to. But my father, he was very, very strong man. He worked for waste management. He took out the trash for 20 years straight with his bare hands. And taking out the trash for 20 years, 5 to 5 was his routine, his schedule. 5 to 5 was very extreme. And being in Flint, Michigan, it was also hard. Just being in Flint alone. But when my father got murdered in front of me by my oldest brother, I was only 10 years old, and of course we were all hysterical. And before my father passed away, his last words to me were, he hugs me and he pushes me away and says, "Get away from me, you don't love me." But to all my other brothers and sisters, he's hugging them and saying, "I love you, I miss you." But to me, he pushes me away. So I knew, I didn't understand why, but I hated my father and my brother until I turned 18. Because I was still, my brain, my human developmental of the brain wasn't fully developed for me to understand why I hated my father and my brother. But I knew when I turned 18, when my brain fully matured, I understood why my brother did what he did. And I forgave my brother and my father when I turned 18. I understood why my brother did what he did. He got second degree murder, self-defense, which in every right he deserves second degree. My father was a dangerous man, especially when he was drunk. When he was drunk, he was very belligerent, and this man could do anything. He could move anybody. He could probably move vehicles and do a bunch of shit. So, yeah, when I came to his funeral, I did not cry. I was the only one who did not cry. Everybody else did. I didn't understand why, but I just knew that it wasn't my fault. It was more of what my father said to me. And being in a domestic violent home, growing up in Flint, Michigan, yeah, it did take a toll on me. I knew I was going to grow up with mental illness, and I do have PTSD bipolarness, mood swings. I had manic episodes. I went through it all in my 20s. But then I told myself when I was 18, when I was 10 years old, I told myself, I'm going to finish school. I'm going to turn all that pain into my education. And that's what I did. I was always a curious kid. I've always wanted to learn more. And school was my passion. And that's what I turned all that pain into, was my education. But after turning 18, well, I graduated 17 and I went straight to college. I ranked number 6 out of my whole high school. I got a Presidential Academic Award Scholarship, and I was Student of the Year 7th and 8th grade. So I had a lot of achievements I was very proud of growing up. I knew from the beginning as a child that I was going to be very smart in my class, and all the knowledge I learned from Flint, Michigan, mainly. I had really good teachers. I had doctors and lawyers for teachers, like very good, high-ranking teachers who did not take school, like, they didn't play around when it came to teaching. And I was one of those students that paid attention, and I was always in front, always took notes, and all the knowledge I learned, they said, remember this knowledge. You might use it when you're 18 or when you're an adult, when you get older. And people are wondering, like, what are we going to use Pythagorean theorem for when we become 18? Well, it's not just about Pythagorean theorem. I went all the way up to calculus. So yes, we're going to have to use calculus when it comes to how this world should run and the way things are going right now in the current economy and government. I wish it was better. But anyways, it really upsets my heart seeing what the world has come to, and all the knowledge that I learned in high school and college it needs to be applied to today's world, and the suffering, and that's why I took school very seriously, and I did, and all the knowledge I learned is not to be mistaken now. And they say, oh, you're a person of knowledge or ancient knowledge. Well, yeah, I do have a connection with spirituality as well, but just growing up where I'm from, we're always like survival of the fittest. You're back against the wall at all times. Always on fight or flight mode. I always had to be that way with my heart and my security. When it came to relationships, yes. So I want to teach people how to heal a broken heart. When you feel like your story is the worst, or you feel like you've been through a lot of stuff until you hear another person's story. You can't judge another book by its cover. And they say, don't trust people right out the bat because looks are deceiving. Well, yes, that is true. So I had to learn how to love myself in a situation when I just came out of like a 6-7 year relationship that I thought was gonna work or last forever, but I was just telling myself I was in a pretend happy relationship, and I thought it was gonna work, and I thought I was, be married for once, but no. Don't be with the married man. That's the lesson I learned. Do not get with the married man. It's never gonna work. They need to go tell their wife or get divorced from their wife first before committing to somebody else. There is a such thing as adultery, and if you have a commitment, a contract that you made with your wife and you made vows, then just, there's a reason why you're still married. It's not because, oh, it's just a piece of paper. To some people, it's just a piece of paper, but not to me. It's probably why I've never been married. It's probably God is waiting for the right person to come for me to get married, but I know I will someday. But anyways, I had to learn how to love myself first before I could love somebody else. And when I had to walk away from my ex, that was probably like one of the most hardest relationships I had to walk out of. But I did walk away with no closure, because when you're in a karmic relationship that is narcissistic and gaslit all the time, I didn't even know what those terms were until later on. But it's like you're in a love spell that's been ongoing, and like it's like you would do everything you could to make the other person happy, but they were just never happy or satisfied. Raja, sorry, my cat. But I had to learn to love myself. So when I walked away, Raja, hush. When I walked away, I didn't give him no closure or nothing. I just walked away, and that was the most hardest thing that I could have done. And choosing myself was the best thing I've ever done. See, there's two things people don't understand. Two emotions that we have not mastered. One of them is anger, and the other one is patience. So if you don't have patience, you have anger. Patience is a virtue. Everybody's time flow is different than the next person. So what might be slow to me might be fast to you. What might be fast to me might be slow to you. So what people need to understand is that time, everybody needs to learn how to just be on their own time frame, on their own divine timing is what it's called. And anger is it's red. It's like there's no problem with somebody feeling angry about something, but anger is a negative emotion, because you can be angry all day and all night and for the rest of your life, because anger can turn into a grudge. Grudge will turn into resentment, and then resentment will turn into jealous and envious energy, and that you don't want. So being angry, because when you think red, you see red, you do red, and you might spill red. Kind of like in a crime of a passion of crime. So when the lover is like, oh, the husband is cheating on the mistress, and then the wife is like, well, if you can't be with me, and I don't want her to be with you, you can't be with nobody. So she murders him, because she was in a compulsive and impulsive mindset. She was in an angry mind frame. So when you're in a impulsive and compulsive mindset, that's not the right time to make a decision. Do not rush a decision, because when you rush a decision, you're not making the correct decision when you rush it. So when you have patience and you actually are in a clear mind frame, you can actually, balance what is the correct decision for you to make at that time. But when it's rushed and when you have a deadline or time frame, and well, there's a reason why we're on time limits, but think of limitations. Those are conditions. Now, sin, I always tell people, my definition of sin is the condition of your heart. So the condition of your heart is like, people sin every day. We're here in this body, to learn the human experience, not to be perfect. We all strive to be perfect, but that's what makes us imperfect. Nobody is perfect. And with sin, people do it every day. That doesn't mean you're going to hell. It just means that you have to know when to repent and when to know how to make a change. Because once you start doing the same mistake or repetitive thing twice, it's then a choice. So you are your biggest enemy. Just know that you will psych yourself out first before anybody else does. Does that make sense? So only you are keeping you from doing what's best for you. So protect your own heart, because nobody else will. You don't need validation from others, because it's your life. You do what makes you happy. So I had to adopt that I don't give a F attitude, because people will talk about you until the day you die. But if they're not benefiting you, if they're not benefiting you, if they're not enlightening you, if they're not a friend to you, if they're not any type of uplifting or encouragement in your life, then there's no reason why you would need their validation. That's why I've always stuck to me and my spirit team and to God. I didn't need no other people I had never had I need your approval, or I need, what do you think, and all that. No, it's what it matters. What I think is what I want. There's a difference between wants and needs. Now, your needs and your wants, they change every day depending on your priorities. Now, your priority list, say if you write down 5 things, say if today you said, my number 1 priority today is family, then career, then my kids, then myself, and then, I don't know, vacation or whatever. Your priorities will change every day. It depends on what your list is and what you have prioritize that day. So like, say if your kids were a priority today, okay, they have graduation or they have a birthday, you're going to put them first that day. And then to your job, or maybe to you, because you have to make sure you're good to make sure they're good. And then 3, then your career, maybe you took off that day or whatever, so that doesn't really matter. And then 4, whatever your priorities are, they change every day. And you just got to know what your priorities are. And another thing I want to go over is that, so once you've balanced your emotions, once you've learned to love yourself and choose you first, once you balance your emotions and you can master those two emotions, patience and anger, for example, it's like being on the road and there's people around raging and there's people weaving in and out of traffic and you guys both stop at the same stoplight. And then you look over and what was the point of all that? There wasn't. And then they get all mad and then they speed off. Well, that's because they're enraged. They have anger. They did not master, or patience. They didn't master patience or anger. So if you're somebody who takes your time on the road and you're just worried about your vehicle and your safety and the safety of others, then it really wouldn't matter if you get to the light or not. You'll still get to your destination. The point of is making it to your destination from point A to point B in one, whole. That's all that matters. We all have destinations, we all have places to go, but is it really worth putting other people's families at risk or your own life just to rush? No, it's not. So so once you know how to master anger and patience, then you'll have an open heart. Then you can open up your heart. Now, to open up your mind, you need to think of it as kind of like how we're going through the Democrats and the Republicans, how they see only blue one way and then the red Republican this way. So if you only see one way or the other, that's only a two-way of seeing. Think of it if you were at a three-way stop sign. Okay, so if you can think of a third way, that's even more possibilities. But that's still only three ways for one situation or one thing to go. It's still not enough. So think of it as a four-way stop sign. Now you have four different ways, but it's still only four different ways to see a situation, but it's still not enough perspective. So what I do is I think of opening my mind to where I can see all perspectives. I try to look at it from all angles, all directions. So that's how you open up your mind. But once you learn to love yourself and balance your emotions, you open up your heart and then you open up your mind. Then you can go from 3D consciousness to 4D to 5D consciousness. That's how you awaken. A lot of people don't see that because they're very stuck in a karmic relationship, or they're stuck in a situation that they feel, because they're trauma bonded by it. And trauma bonded is like when you're like codependent on somebody because you're so used to that person. But if it's toxic, then you need to leave it. That's not a relationship you want to stay in, because it's very degrading, it's very diminishing, it's very downing your spirit. So when your spirit is saying, I can't do this no more, I don't like what it's making me feel, that's your intuition, that's your gut saying you need to leave. And when you can finally choose yourself, then you'll know which way to go, which direction to go. But I wanted to have that conversation with you guys and to see if people understand why they're stuck in the same, they're gonna come back and all that. Well, yeah, because you keep allowing them to come back. Once you allow somebody to come back and they're your ex and they keep disrespecting you, that means you disrespect your self-worth, because you kept allowing them to come back. And then you keep going through that same cycle of toxicity. And if for you to end that pattern, you have to know when to choose you. And I know a lot of people need to hear this, but a lot of people don't understand it yet, because they're trauma bonded and they need to do a lot of childhood trauma healing. And I had to heal my childhood trauma. I can talk about my childhood trauma and it won't affect me because I've healed from it. I won't cry about it, I won't get emotional. It's happened 20 years ago when I lost my father, so yeah, I can talk about it. All my brothers and sisters, they have things that they face, they have things that they need to heal, and we all went through the same thing, but we all didn't come out the same. So I just hope and wish that, I pray for their healing, and I pray for people to just do better. And here goes the bracelet I created while talking to you guys, and I think it came out beautiful, just like you guys. There's only one you. That's what makes you special. So learn how to be your true, authentic self. Try not to be somebody else. Because once you're in that toxic relationship and you feel like they're controlling you to the point where they want you to be someone or something that you're not, that's how you know you're being controlled. If you don't feel yourself, then you know that relationship was never meant to be. So there goes my bracelet I made, and the end of the video. I hope you liked it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to get more likes and follows, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.